that's for sure. Well, I'm telling you, Quincy, it's great to be back. It's only been a couple years, but it seems like we fought a lot of battles together. I mean, I remember April 29th of 2010. That was when President Barack Obama came to Quincy and he called John Sullivan his best friend and strongest supporter. You know, I've oftentimes thought that at the right moment, under the right set of circumstances, I'm going to get really involved in politics and I'm really going to make a difference. And haven't you guys felt the same thing? I mean, at the right moment, you'll go all in, as the poker players say, right? Well, I think this is the moment, this is our moment. We've got to beat John Sullivan at the ballot box. Who here in the room agrees with me that this is the third moment in the history of this country where the American experiment itself is in jeopardy? Oh, yeah. You know what? Those aren't our words. Those are the words of the great governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniels. And I've got some evidence of why the American experiment is in jeopardy right now in this moment. And it comes from your mayor, John Springs. And the mayor, about an hour ago, issued a press release. And he called our best and brightest. He called the rising force in the Senate Republican caucus. He called Senator Sam McCann and Senator Darren LaHood and myself. He called us extremists, and he called you extremists. Isn't this the same guy? And isn't this the same guy that took nearly $100,000 for his election for Quincy mayor from Cook County? He got Fox News into Washington Park when he wouldn't let Tea Party leader Steve McQueen speak in front of the city council. This is what we're fighting. This is our moment. You and I, we need to take a scalp. And that scalp has to be John Sullivan in this district, in this election on March 6th. Sorry, November 6th. I always, when I come to Quincy, I just want to thank you for your strong support. We've built a great and firm and robust foundation to be able to reform the state of Illinois from. You know, back in the Republican primary in 2010, we were right. We have run the most robust solutions in this entire state. Open the books, and I am proud to say, and you're wearing the stickers tonight, we are 4 to 6 months away from putting every dollar taxed from every government entity online at openthebooks.com. We posted the pay and pensions of virtually every single public employee at every level of Illinois government. And so what did we find? We found 57 village and city mayors and managers out-earning every governor of the 50 states. We found a school district treasurer that hiked his pay from $163,000 to $296,000. We found park district administrators out-earning the state director of parks. And then we posted all the school vendor spending all the way back to 2006. And you can actually at openthebooks.com see all your local pay and pensions of every single public employee right here in Adams County and Quincy and your townships and your school districts, every government entity online, including your school district's checkbook. Well, I researched my school district's checkbook. And what did I find? I found that millions of dollars were spent on taxi cab rides. And I thought that was rather peculiar. So very quickly we studied the entire state. And this is what we found. 47 Northern Illinois school districts that since 2006 had spent over $50 million on taxi cab service. And then we filed Freedom of Information Act requests, and we found that only 6 of them negotiated a contract with the taxi cab company. The rest of them paid for expensive individual rides. And then I got a letter from my school board president, and he said, Adam, in the interests of transparency and accountability, you're only telling half the story. Our local taxpayers, they didn't spend $2.1 million on taxi cab rides. They only spent $420,000. Because state taxpayers picked up 80% of the tab. Quincy, you paid for our expensive taxi cab rides. We ran on a second concept when I ran statewide for governor of Illinois. And you remember the phrase, it's a forensic audit. And we didn't invent it, but we've been proven right by the tiny town in Dixon, Illinois, where the city treasurer stole $53 million. These audits in Illinois will never lose money. That stealing was rubber stamped by 21 independent audits. We need deeper auditing, we need adversarial auditing, and yes, we need forensic auditing of every dime of state and local spending. So Mitch Daniels has said this is the third moment in the history of our country where the American experiment itself is in jeopardy. And you believe that, and I believe that, and I believe that you and I, we have the best understanding of Illinois politics out of anybody in Illinois. And this is why. Because we understand that in the last 5,000 years of human history, that this is a unique moment. We've been given a tremendous gift from our founders, and it's a constitution that for the first time in human history, our rights are granted from God and not another man, and it limits the power of government, and it empowers we the people. And that brings us to this moment in time, where you and I, nothing rankles us more than a hypocritical Springfield politician. Senator John Sullivan voted for the 67% income tax hike before he voted against it. He was for Rod Blagojevich's $16 billion borrowing scheme, and he advocated another $8 billion borrowing scheme about a year and a half ago. Senator Sullivan voted to hike his own pay 3 times, but now he tells you he's never hiked his own pay, but he actually approved the spending that allowed him to cash the check on his pay hike. Senator John Sullivan is a hypocritical Springfield politician when he comes back to Quincy and says he's a conservative, but he was a 2008 delegate for Barack Obama. Yes, the same president that wants to tax you and spend you and borrow you into oblivion. The same president that took over 20% of the entire United States economy by taking over health care, and the same president that's putting an additional 16,000 IRS agents on the street. The same president that will constrict your First Amendment rights to the free expression of your religion, and the same president who wants to constrict your Second Amendment rights by limiting your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Yes, John Sullivan, as Barack Obama said, that's the president's best friend and strongest supporter. Now, all of us, we complain, and we complain about Washington, D.C., and we complain about Springfield. But I don't think we can complain if John Sullivan is in our backyard. You and I, we have an obligation at this moment in human history, in the unique experiment that is America, to make sure that there's good government, principles, and values in our own backyards. And it's just not there with John Sullivan. When Newt Gingrich was running for president, Newt told the following story, and I think it crystallizes the moment that we have here tonight. And Newt did it very well. And Newt Gingrich said that in the early days of the American Revolution, it was super cool to be a patriot. It was very easy. And if you think back to the early days here in Quincy, the Tea Party movement, it was super cool. You were on the leading and bleeding edge of this movement nationally, and I give you credit for that. George Washington had 30,000 people in his army in the early days, but he lost some battles and it got really cold, and all of a sudden, George Washington had 2,600 people left in his army, and it was only 1 out of every 1,000 people in the colonies. And Washington knew he had to take some risk, or the American experiment was going to be dead before it even got started. So he gathered his top people together in a secret meeting, and they came up with a password for the mission, and the password was victory or death. Out of the 2,600 soldiers in Washington's camp, 1/3 of them did not even have boots. They wrapped their feet in burlap bags. So they hatched this secret plan, and on Christmas night, 1776, they moved it out, and they had to cross the Delaware River. And it started with a drizzle, and then it started to rain, and then it started to sleet, and it blew a hurricane, and they were late crossing the river. And the sun was coming up, and it was daylight, and they had to march 8 miles to Trenton to surprise the Hessians and win that battle. They literally bled a trail of 8 miles to victory to found this nation. So you and I, we have not done enough. We have not backed Randy hard enough. We have not talked to our friends and neighbors and convinced them enough. We have not donated enough. We have not made enough phone calls. You and I, we have not done enough in our generation at this moment to defend the fundamental principles of freedom and liberty in our generation. This is our obligation. This is our challenge. This is our moment, and we will defeat John Sullivan on November 6th. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you, Quincy.
Well, I'm not going to even try to follow that. I just want to say how humble I feel and how gracious I am for these 3 fine gentlemen to be here on my behalf. And I'll just, from my bottom of my heart, I ask, I'm going to work as hard as I can between now and November 6th. We've already got 13, 14 months in. There's 2 months left. We're going to work as hard as we can to win this race for the right reasons. But I need your help, as they said. Any chance you have to get a sign location for me, we'll get signs to you, or you can pick them up at our headquarters. Any chance that you might have some spare time to help us at our phone bank, I would appreciate that very much. And any chance you had to maybe walk a precinct with me or with a group, we'll get you the lists of who we need to hit. I could use all the help that could possibly muster up these last 63 days. And also, it's going to take money to beat that Chicago machine. So, and I know you've given a lot. Ask your friends, if you would. Help us out as much as you possibly can. And from this I ask from the bottom of my heart, and we'll work hard right through November 6th. So thank you all so very much.
Okay. Couple of real quick announcements. Membership, we enacted a membership program, I think, earlier in the year, and so we've got that coming up the end of December. I think everybody's membership would be due. If you want to be a card-carrying member of the Tea Party, see Mecky, right, or Ken, see Kenny Holtz. There is a letter to your neighbor on the website. I think that's courtesy of Becky. And it's a letter that you can download and customize and leave in your neighbor's doors. And we talked about evangelizing and sharing the message. This is a good way to get that done. There's also some brochures over on the table. Actually, on the table, there's tons of literature about all kinds of different things. If you're interested, swing by on your way out. One of the things that we've talked about is a calendar of committee meetings, board meetings, and so forth coming up. John Wood Board, City Council. There is a short calendar over there for anybody that wants to take one with. It's always a good idea to show up at those meetings and just let those guys know that we're watching what they're doing. Constitution refresher course is this Saturday, September 8th. Terry, stand up, please. Terry Carey has taken on signing people up for that. We still need, what, a dozen or so? A dozen people to sign up for that. It's Saturdays. Registration starts at 8:15 and it'll go till 3?
3:30. There'll be lunch. It's $25 a person. This gentleman is coming from Tennessee, who Glenn Ebbing met him. He is an educator of the Constitution, and we'll have lunch there. That's an additional $11, but it'll be a great day.
Thank you. Again, there's literature on the table. If I could get Senator Sam McCann to come forward, please. We're going to do the drawing for the...
5 minutes.
Anybody last minute, if you want to raise your hand and buy a ticket for this raffle. Randy's shelling out some bucks.
$10.
It must be rough on the campaign trail. He's carrying protection.
Becky?
Yeah, $10.
While we've got a minute, our next meeting is going to be October 2nd.
Fill that out quick so we can get it in the drawing. Just write your name on it, yeah.
Okay, we got it? Okay. Let's give these speakers a round of applause again for coming all this way. No, you're up here. You get to draw the line.
While you're getting that done, I might say a little something. The Tea Party Express is going through, and I will get more information to Dan and Terry about this. But just to put a date on your calendar, September 21st, which is a Friday, about noon. That's going to start. It's going to be a little ways north of here. I don't have all the details, but just kind of get it in there. It is passing through, and it's going to be not too far from us. I might also say, of course, I'm from Pike County. I spoke here a month or two ago, and Sam touched all our hearts down in Pike County. And what it took, we had to drive, we had to work, we drove to other parts of the district. We put out signs in other people's district. You might have to get out of town and go help get this done. But like Sam said, until you have a seat at the table, you haven't got any say. And probably one of the best articles I ever saw, he wrote sitting on the Senate floor. Did any of you get that? He wrote, he says, I'm sitting on the floor here in the Senate floor, should be about the Senate's business. Meanwhile, the people's business, I should say. Meanwhile, the majority is off in some other room deciding what legislation they're going to pass. We, the minority, will not even get a chance to review most of it. Is that not correct? They won't even get a chance to look at it. That has got to change. I see a lot of gray heads here. Some of us are shiny. And we should have a lot of young people, but let's face it, they're busy trying to make a living in a bad economy. We have got to be the ones to do it. And you'll have to push, push, push.
God bless you, Doc. Doc's my new constituent. I picked up all of Pike County now. And you know, Doc, it could turn any color it wanted to if it just stopped turning loose.
Okay. You can draw one ticket. Just one. We only have one pistol. We could talk to John if he accidentally draws two out. Ruth Hall. Ruth, you got your point card? We'll work it out with John, okay? Thanks, Sam. That is priceless. All right. Do we... Okay, real quick, normally we open it up for questions and comments. Just real briefly, anybody got any questions for anybody on the board or in general?
How many people went out and seen 2016 Obama?
That's a good question. 2016, the movie. Who's been to see it? Most everybody here. It is at the mall. So, and it was in Hannibal as well. It does scare you, doesn't it? Okay, well, that's all we've got. If there's no questions or comments, our next meeting is October 2nd, same time, 6:30. Do we have somebody? Oh, John. Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to remind folks that we have the Liberty Fall Festival Parade coming up this Saturday. And we will gather at the parking lot of the high school at 9 o'clock, and the parade will be at 10 o'clock, and it'll last maybe about an hour.
Okay.
What we need is we need people to get in the parade and wear your Randy Freeze shirts, or whoever shirts you want to, but we really need people to be there to support Randy, because I know the Sullivan crowd will be there. But we can also support our county board candidates, John Brady, Les Post, and Selden Toach. Yeah, and Laura Donahue can always use some help handing out literature, and there will be a lot of people there. So we ask you to come and help. It would be greatly appreciated, and help us to win.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Ben, come on up. This is Ben Evans.
I'll be real brief for you guys. I'm with Heritage Action. We're the political arm of Heritage Foundation. I handed out some scorecards to all of y'all here. I'm going to be over here at this table, and hopefully I'll be here in Quincy again to talk to you guys some more about what we do. We work on legislation, and we score the legislators based on that. So if you want to sign up or learn more, just come over and speak to me at the table. I've got business cards, and I've got sheets to sign up. Thanks.
Kenny Talkin.
Just wanted to tell you that 2016 is not in Anthem anymore. It's playing here in Quincy tomorrow, and I think Thursday.
Okay, 2016 is no longer showing in Hannibal, but it is tomorrow, through tomorrow for sure at the mall. Pat?
It will be Thursday.
If you go in the morning and not at night, it's only $4.
Right.
Pinching those pennies. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, great crowd tonight, great speakers. I'm glad to see everybody here. We'll see you on October 2nd. Thanks.